the Roar.
Who are the punters backing?
The greatest show on turf. It's the one we've all been waiting for.
World-class racing.
4 days like no other.
Sign up to Betfred this Cheltenham using promo code CHELT40 and get up to £40 in free bets when you stake £10. Betfred, at the heart of Cheltenham. Download our app or visit betfred.com.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Line. Honeysuckle was the star of the show yesterday, especially when Fred went at top price 6-4, while Black Tears provided an emotional win for Sneezy Foster and saved the bookies a fortune. Good morning to you all. I hope you are well. It's day 2 of the greatest show on turf. I'm going to quickly tell you what you missed yesterday. Fred's going to be with us at midday. He went at top price Honeysuckle 6-4. Well, she was impressive. And look at that. The 2 hot pots in the first 2 races. Appreciate It and Shishkin, I think both won by combined lengths 150. 2-1. SP paid 6-4. Tom, looking back now, it's an easy game. Why didn't we back that?
Struth, my word. When you want the big guns on the biggest stage to stand up and deliver, they just kept falling like dominoes. Bookmakers absolutely being carried out on stretchers, metaphorically. You saw them keep coming, and after Appreciate It turned under style, then you saw Shishkin, and you knew all the while, still to come, was Honeysuckle, and boy oh boy, never mind Honeysuckle, Honey Monster, she is something else.
Oh,
I mean, you see the way she hits the rising ground, and then she gets even faster, and Rachel Blackmore, what a pilot, and what an opening day, and that's before you even start to get on to the thought of the likes of Gaillard Du Mesnil today, Shaq and Pussoir, Monkfish, it's all to come.
She is top class.
She's arguably the best. Horses gallop for her, Mark. There's something, she's very unfussy. She doesn't hassle them. She's not.
I'm not going to call her a female
them.
jockey. I'm just going to say she's a top class jockey.
No, absolutely. Absolutely elite rider. Easily as good as the other top names in the weighing room, if not better.
Bookies love the mare's hurdle. If you think down the years. Annie Power, Benny DeJure, and if Concertista had gone in, I mean, it wouldn't have been Annie Power-esque, but it would cost a few million.
You and I had a good discussion, and Matt, yesterday morning, about the perils of Cheltenham and how the finest margins, when push comes to shove, it can be a nod on the line, it can be a little stumble.
Well, it probably clipped the last, didn't it?
It can be carried wide, and you're talking about absolute fortunes. And of course, by that stage, the bookmakers were looking for something very special to get them out of trouble, because for a long way in running, it looked as if there was only going to be one result. So relief there, but there could be some punishment to come today, because when you work through them, where's the weak link? Is there a weak link? I mean, the first race could be a hiding. Shaq and Pussoir and Monkfish, they're going to be hard to get beat.
Yeah, let's turn our attention to St Patrick's Day. And the Irish have the 6 favourites out of 7 races on Queen Mother Champion Chase Day.
It's all about Masterminded, and he'll defend his crown in great style. Masterminded, the champ.
They say they never come back. This is one of the great comebacks in the history of the Cheltenham Festival. Altior is digging, and Altior is going to win another champion chase.
Yeah, St Patrick's Day and the Queen Mother Champion Chase Day. It is an absolute cracker again. 7 races to look forward to. I just think the most important factor, though, before you have your bet at Cheltenham, is the going, and it's changed. Matt, give us the update, please.
It has. It's tightening up a little bit. It's getting quicker all the time. Expecting a cooler day than it was yesterday. So Simon Clayton expects not to dry out as quick today, but it is now good to soft. He's walked around this morning, got rid of those soft patches, so good to soft, perfect jumping ground. And of course, it is set to stay dry for the rest of the week as well. But will the taps be turned on? Well, after all the news will come to you right here. Right, extra places then for you today. 6 places. We are on the Coral Cup, the 2:30, 26 runners going to post. So that's the 6 places on that one. In the cross country as well, with 4 places on that, with Easy's Land, your odds-on favourite, looking to retain his title. Tiger Roll, and then the dual national hero, looking for a 5th festival success. 344 places on that. And Grand Annual, 5 places on that one as well, over the same track and trip as the Champion Chase. That looks a really good handicap to look forward to. And traditionally, it goes the way of the Irish, doesn't it? The bumper with 4 places on what basically is the Willie Mullins Stakes, Mark.
He's won it 10 times as Willie Mullins, and obviously got the top 2 in the betting. Very quickly, Tom, we mentioned ground. Now, some of these horses are so ground dependent. There'll be a few trainers this morning absolutely delighted that the ground's drying out, and there'll be a few trainers disappointed.
There will be a few trainers disappointed because certainly when we talk about the cross-country chase, that in particular, you're looking towards the front of the market there. The horse that Matt just mentioned, Easy's Land, another classic example of a horse who would have preferred that rain on Sunday night to be repeated on Monday night, to be repeated on Tuesday night, is Kim Bailey, just down the road from Cheltenham. He saw Happy Go Lucky run well without quite getting the job done yesterday. He's got a big day tomorrow with Imperial Aura, but today, arguably his stable star, is First Flow. But he would have loved it if it had kept raining. You think that's a headache for him?
Tom, you might just want to smarten yourself up. It's a bit too early to be showing flesh.
Well,
it's only about 9 in the morning.
Miami Beach, Betfred TV studio. Listen, it's how we roll. I'll get the shades on.
I wish. Let's get the very latest from Prestbury Park and introduce another member of the team. It's TalkSport's Rupert Bell.
Morning, welcome to day 2 of this strange but wonderful Cheltenham Festival. Yesterday was just, well, amazing, historic. Rachel Blackmore winning on Honeysuckle. How good was that? Shiskin appreciated. Wonderful performances on the track. Well, early morning, always a traditional comforting sight is to see the horses out for their early morning spin. I can tell you it's a windless day at the moment. The ground is officially described as good to soft all over, and that includes the cross-country course where we see the reappearance of Tiger Roll. It's St Patrick's Day, but the headline in the paper today is calling it St Mullins Day. Chacun pour soi and Monkfish. On the face of it, they look really difficult to beat. My big tip of the week, though, is Brave Man's Game in the opener.
Yeah, Brave Man's Game in the opener. Paul Nicholls has said it's his best chance of the week. We'll speak about the opener in a moment, but we want you to get involved. Send a comment, send a question on Facebook or Twitter. We want you to get involved. Send your best bet today. Maybe some reaction from yesterday. Whatever you want, even if it's abuse, send it in. And Matt, I've got a question already. This is from Steve in Warrington, and he asks you, who do you look like?
How long's your list? I've only got an hour to go through them all. Hey, there we are. Craig from Corrie today. It will be tomorrow. John Daly, John Henderson.
It's great to see Craig from Corrie loving horse racing, Tom, isn't it?
Isn't that just a treat to know that we've got celebrity admirers from far and wide who are endorsing the sport in its finest hour? Craig from Corrie giving the betting news on Betfred TV. What more could you want out of life? A winner or two this afternoon, of course.
Yeah. I don't want to criticise anyone working in TV. It is not easy, but unfortunately, yesterday the false roar that ITV did, they got it a bit wrong, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a sort of a false whimper, wasn't it? Not only that, I think whoever's in charge
We're already off in racing.
You had one job, press the button at the right moment, which was not entirely detonated at the right time.
I tell you what, let's just prove how easy it is, Tom. So let's have a go at this, OK? So before we get some tips off Matt, let's have a roar. See? It's not easy, is it? Should we try it again?
Stage fright. Stage fright.
Right, he's got one job as a sound guy. All right, come on, let's have that Cheltenham roar.
Oh, lovely.
And that was what you got this morning, Matt, walking into the office after tipping up Galvin. I was a bit worried when it drifted, but Galvin yesterday was surely one of the bets of the day.
Well, it looks like that now, and we did say, didn't he, Jamie Coleman was the one that he really wanted to come over and ride, the one he was looking forward to the most. Sadly, he couldn't be here. Yeah, and also I went for Roxanne, of course, my nap of the week, so I've blown myself out early, that's for sure.
Should never, ever do nap of the week on day one.
No,
Have we got any questions yet, Matt?
I'll do it on the
Any
Martin
questions
Pipe.
yet, Matt?
Well, no, nothing really coming through as yet, but what we can talk about is...
So nothing, that's what you're saying?
No.
All right, great. So, yeah, you could have made something up, couldn't you? Not that we ever do that in bookmaking. We never make anything up, do we, Tom? Well, let's make something
Never.
up.
Squeaky clean. Squeaky clean.
Right, the Ballymore novice hurdle. Istra back, Hardy Eustace, Forhina Machine. Some greats have won this race, Tom.
Some greats have won this race, but spare us the history lesson. People at home watching this want a winner for this afternoon. It's not easy because three-way tie at the front of the market in terms of horses on very, very lofty ratings. You've got, and this is the boring bit, but it's important to observe because people will be saying, well, what about Bear Gills for the small stable in the West Country, Nicky Martin? He's won all three this season. Lingfield, Fossland, Exeter.
Let's talk about the front of the market. What about Bob Ollinger?
Well, that leads us nicely in because if you like him, you have to respect these horses with the high ratings. Bob Ollinger rated 150. Brave Man's Game rated 150. Guyad Dumanil 151. So not much between them.
Tom, this is Nace, isn't it? The Grade 1. And the same race that Envoy Allen won last year before coming to the Ballymore.
He looked very slick here for a horse without a lot of experience. If you think he began his season in Gorham Park, was beaten, he's won his last two. He's clearly improving at a rate of knots. Who's he got on board? The wonderful Rachel Blackmore. Henry de Bromhead's on a high yesterday after Honeysuckle, and this lad looks a very, very stiff competitor. We think that staying up that hill will be absolutely no problem. High cruising speed, neat over his obstacles, and has beaten good horses with a yawning gap back to them. Plenty more to come from him.
Let's look at Brave Man's Game. This is winning the Cheltenham Hurdle at Newbury. People tell me that the form of this never works out quite well in the Ballymore, but when Paul Nicholls says this is his best chance of a winner all week, you've got to take note, haven't you?
Bear in mind, Paul Nicholls' Cheltenham squad probably isn't the strongest he's ever had. Furthermore, he has been very vocal in saying that he's saving horses for Aintree and wouldn't be taking all his firepower here. You can only beat what's put in front of you, and yes, the record for Cheltenham hurdle winners coming here is weak and scratchy, but Brave Man's Game, nonetheless, has won his last two at Newbury, including in Grade 1 company, and you see the gap back to the others. This is a horse to be reckoned with, and ratings put him right there.
And what about this Mullins horse that is getting backed this morning into Joint Fav?
Rightly so, I think, Mark. Actually, on official figures, he is the winner by £1. There's not much in it, but he's rated 151. The reason being, this is the Dublin Festival of Racing, first weekend of February. Look how gritty and tough he is in the finish. That means in 3 runs this season, having started off at Punchestown, he's graduated to winning at Christmas time.
The way it's pulling away now, think Cheltenham Hill. Is that what you're thinking?
I absolutely adore this horse. I just like the way he goes about his job. I've liked him from the first day I saw him. And Willie Mullins has done nothing to put me off. Paul Townend clearly is a very, very big admirer. You listen to what he's been saying about him in the run-up. I think he's versatile. I think he's slick. I love his physique. I love his stature as well. And you see the way in which Willie Mullins provided us winner in the opener yesterday. To my eyes, something you said to me this morning, Mark, don't be blinded about other people's opinions. Work it out based upon what you've seen.
Yeah, look, it's an easy game afterwards. I watched Honeysuckle and that Irish Champion Hurdle and I thought, right, that's the winner of a Champion Hurdle. But then I get to a Tuesday, CV Price, and I think, oh, it's too short.
Don't mind that.
But it doesn't matter if it's too short if it wins, does it, really?
Not only that, today's Cheltenham Festival's a day about patents, lucky 15s, trebles, about doing the jackpot, about having a few fun bets. I want something that's going to get me off to
I've done a Super Heinz.
Ambitious. Listen, I want a winner to try and get me on the scoreboard early doors. I'll be back in Guyad Dumanil.
How do we bet on this, Matt? And they are backing the Mullins horse. Because Bob Ollinger was clear favourite last night when I looked.
It was the last week, maybe 5 days or so. It's all been about Bob Ollinger, who's been really popular on the preview circuit. He's been really well backed. And now this morning there's been money for Guyad Dumanil. We can't split them. They're 15-8 joint favourites. And the market may make this race, because now you look at it, I don't think there's much to split them. And all of a sudden, Brave Man's Game, who Paul Nicholls has been raving about, compared to Denman, who admittedly was beaten in this race, looks a really big price at 7-2. And don't discount this, people have been talking about Kesk and Risk as well. It cost a fortune. Chase don't appreciate it. 20-1. for that one. And then we've got Bear Grylls, unbeaten so far in all his starts. He's not the greatest of jumpers potentially, but we don't know how good he could be yet to be headed, as we say, and he's 10-1, and I've caught up with his jockey, Matt Griffiths. Already had a Grade 1 winner this year with Dasher Drasher in the Ascot Chase, and could he be bidding for a first festival success at 1:20 this afternoon?
Yeah, look, he's very exciting, and he's probably the most exciting young horse as early on in his career that I've ridden. You know, he's been faultless in all his wins. I know his jumping is a little bit be desired, but you know, he gets from A to B, and you know, we school him at home. He schools twice a week, and he's brilliant. You know, we will do a lot more this next fortnight before Cheltenham, but he's going there unbeaten, and like you say, he's probably in the top 3 of the UK horses going in that race. So it's going to be a hard race, but I think providing he gets a clear round and everything goes well, he should be in the shake-up.
Yeah, he should be in the shake-up. That's what he's saying. I mean, he just pitches on Lander. This was a handicap, which he wins pretty convincingly in the end. At Exeter, totally different kettle of fish this afternoon. And I say his jumping isn't the greatest. That might be a concern, but there's no doubt he's got an engine. And he also told me that people in the yard are saying this is an aeroplane. He didn't really take much notice of them. And then he went and absolutely hacked up on debut at a massive price at Warwick. And all of a sudden he was like, wow, I might have a bit of a machine here. You just saw his jumping there. It's not the neatest, but he's got some engine. He quickens up really well. The ground is a slight concern, but it'd be a big story. A small stable, Nicky Martin's down in Devon. And let's look how strong he is at the finish. Up that stiff climb at Exeter. The stiff climb at Cheltenham will certainly suit him. I think he's got a decent chance as well. But he's a big price because this, for me, is one of the best Ballymores we've had for quite a while. It's always a very good race produced. The likes of Isterbrack, Harder Eustace, of course, future champion hurdlers. But let's go back to Bob Ollinger, because I've been speaking to Jamie Codd as well. He's the man who's been putting this one up on the preview circuit. I think he's Bob Ollinger's biggest fan, but he knows how good a race it is this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a fantastic race, but it always is. This throws up a lot of good horses over the time. So, you know, it's horses that can drop back and trip maybe to a champion hurdle or go out and trip as well. And you know, so it does throw up some seriously good horses. But yeah, we've a cracking renewal. You know, I'm very, very sweet on Bob Ollinger. He's kind of taken the Envoy Allen route. He was second in a maiden hurdle to Fernie Hollow, who won a champion bumper last year. Very, very strong. Won his maiden hurdle and stepped up to the Grade 1 Lawlers in Naas in January. So a little bit like Envoy Allen, and was very, very good there. He beat Blue Lord, who's running in the Supreme. So it'd be interesting to see how he will get on in the Supreme. But yeah, look at Brave Man's Game has been rock solid when you're being compared to Denman. It's, you know, that's high praise from the trainer. So he's not going to have it all his own way at all. Willie's Galler de Mesnil has been very, very good. You know, seems to be another very, very good horse for Joe Donnelly, his connections, and but I'm not sure whether beating Gentleman's Game and Statler at the Dublin Racing Festival is quite strong enough to take on Brave Man's Game and Bob Ollinger in this. A sneaky one there stepping up and trip possibly could be Kesk on Risk for Joseph. Chased home, appreciated. He was about maybe 12 lengths off him at Christmas. Didn't run at the Dublin Racing Festival, coming in here very, very fresh. I know Joseph likes him a lot, and he could be a sneaky one there now, maybe. Hard to see, you know, Brave Man's Game and Bob Ollinger, but he could be a horse that could run very, very well in it.
Yeah, I think Kesk on Risk is an interesting one, as Jamie Codd's just said, beat by Appreciate It, the Supreme winner yesterday in December. Right then, selection time. I'm going to go for Brave Man's Game. Tom?
I'm going to disagree with Jamie Codd, and I'm going to stick with this Gaillard du Mesnil.
Big man?
I could back anything. Do you know what? I love Bob Ollinger. I think Brave Man's Game is very good, but I'm going to take a chance on Bear Grylls. He's unbeaten, and he's 10-1, purely on price. I think he's value at 10s, but this looks an absolute quality contest.
A few name changes this year. The RSA, the 155, is now the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. And we've got one of those novice chases in there, which was well talked up before the Cheltenham Festival. Matt, how do we bet for the RSA or the Brown Advisory Novices Chase?
Yeah, well, it's a one-horse book, isn't it? Monkfish at 4 to
Gold
11.
Cup for the youngsters.
Yeah, 4 to 11. Well, you say Gold Cup for the youngsters. It looks like he's favourite for next year's Gold Cup already. Monkfish won the Albert Bartlett last year. 4 to 11 to win this afternoon. The big breakaways at 10 to 1. Look at that double figures bar. 10 to 1. Eclat de Rire. I'm a big fan of this one. I think he might be the one to chase him home in 11 to 1. Sporting John 12s. 25 to 1 Dickie Diva. And Fiddler on the Roof, who won form. You can see the line of form. The whole Sporting John and the big breakaway. 33 to 1. And the outsider got second in the Arkle yesterday. So don't be put off by him. But yeah, one horse book. Monkfish 4 to 11. Move on.
Tom, I know you are close to the Irish form with your work through RTE. I just hear that Monkfish is just basically bomb-proof. That is what I am told. It has just got to rock up and win at 155. And there's loads of people with trebles of Shishkin, obviously gone in, Monkfish and Envoy Allen tomorrow. 3 fabulous novice chasers. Is this Monkfish as good as the hype?
Find out at 5 to 2, won't we? The contrarian in me says there's no horse race in the history of the Cheltenham Festival where you just turn up and win. And something that you've just said, the word in there, the N word, novice. That's the reason. These horses...
This is Leopardstown, the Dublin Festival.
This is the Flogas Novice Chase. And this is how good he is, because the stride on him and the way he just wings his way around these fences, it's dismissive. I mean, he clearly is a very classy animal. And realistically, Mark, what he's got to do today to be beaten if he puts in a clear round is to underperform, because the rest on ratings, you work out on the official figures, he's rated 164. His closest pursuer is the horse Matt likes for the place, Eclat de Rire, on 151. So at level weights, in a conditions race, effectively, he's nearly a stone superior based upon what we've seen. However, they're novices. They've got the L plates on. This is not a formality. He has to turn up and deliver. Will he? On all known form, he will. He's a festival winner. He's 3 from 3 over fences. He won the key trial. He's trained by the right man. Townend on board. Ground will be absolutely no problem whatsoever. And based upon all known, engaged and rated ability, he ought to be way too good for these. And even if he does throw in a mistake, will probably still have enough in the tank to drag himself out of trouble. But don't go being fooled into thinking that this is a penalty kick and you could back him blind. Otherwise, wouldn't we all be taking out a loan and betting 11,000 to win 4? Not the kind of bet I'd like to be investing in with a horse who, I will just stress, they're novices. They're learner drivers. This is not just an unconditional, unqualified success. Will he win? He will. But listen, you're looking for the horse for the forecast, and I'd be inclined to agree with Matt. You see how Eclat de Rire's delivered, first in Thurles, then in Punchestown. He looks a very decent animal in his own right.
Let's talk the challengers in a moment. Let's get more on Monkfish and get the Irish angle once again and hear from top amateur, who should be at Cheltenham, but he's not allowed, I'm afraid. It's Jamie Codd.
If you want to see a jumping performance, just go back and have a look at Monkfish jumping. It was out of this world. It really was. It was effortless. You know, Paul was very, very good in him. He just let the fences come to him, and it just seemed so easy. Look, the sky's the limit for this horse, really. You know, he goes to the RSA. You know, bar a fall, it looks like, you know, he could be banker material for the Irish going over. I just thought he was incredible. You know, he's a real staying chaser, and just the way he jumps and his attitude, and he looks to have everything. You know, like he was 3 mile the last day, was 2.5 yesterday, and you know, for a horse to be able to drop back and trip to do that, you know, and be even more impressive, you know, it's a testament to the horse's ability. So Monkfish for me was incredible.
We're hearing from Jamie Codd throughout the week as well. We heard in the Ballymore that Paul Nicholls said his best chance of a winner all week was Brave Man's Game. Colin Tizard obviously had a bit of an in and out season, but a good second yesterday in the Arkle with Eldorado Allen. Said this is his best chance a week, the big breakaway. Is he just running for place money, or can the big breakaway cause an upset, Tom?
Well, he likes it here. He was fourth in the Ballymore 12 months ago, and he's trained by a man with an absolute list of Cheltenham Festival successes. But I go back to the previous point, Mark. He's got to improve £16, or the favourite has got to underperform by more than a stone for this lad to put his head in front. The other thing, he's not the most fluent at getting the job done. He's a great horse for winning some prize money, and that's what Eldorado Allen did yesterday. Incidentally, if you got the forecast yesterday or backed Eldorado Allen a place, you ought to say a big thank you to Harry Cobden, because he rode him out the back and ambushed the placed horses.
Well,
and went and stuck his
I'm
head
not happy seeing I was on Captain Guinness each way, yeah.
But listen, work through them. He's very much a place contender, but Willie Mullins hasn't won this for 6 years. It looks overwhelmingly likely that that will change this afternoon with this Monkfish, who, as Jamie Codd just said, he looks more than a little bit special. Yes, he's a novice. Yes, something untoward can happen. A little trip or a stumble or something. Jockey can go out the side door. Horse might whip round at the start. But really, we're grasping at straws here. Monkfish really very much ought to deliver. Massive shock if he doesn't.
Well, let's get another one, another view. Let's hear from Tanya, part of the Betfred team, Tanya Stevenson, former colleague of Tom, of course. And she's quite keen on Sporting John.
I like Sporting John for the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Many of you will be focusing in on Monkfish, a really short price favourite for this contest. Yet only 3 of the last 10 favourites have obliged. I'm rewinding the clock right back to 2003. That's the last time Philip Hobbs won this very race, but he may have something totally unexposed in Sporting John. It's only having its 7th ever race and 3rd one over the bigger obstacles. Yet on its 2nd ever start over the bigger obstacles, it won the Grade 1 Scilly Isles Novices Chase. A phenomenal performance, running on strongly towards the end. It's going to be upped in trip even further, but at the price has to be at least some each-way value.
Each-way value, that's maybe what you're chasing there in that race. Monkfish, for many, absolutely bomb-proof. Tom, selection time.
Don't even need to say it. Monkfish.
Big man.
Monkfish to beat Eclat de Rire.
I'm going to go big breakaway. Each way.
Just love breakaways.
Yeah, well, yeah, there we are. Matt brings it round to food as always. Have you had your breakfast, big man?
Just the one this morning.
Right, let's chat the Coral Cup. Matt, how many places are we on the Coral Cup? It's huge, isn't it? Are we 6 places, is that right?
We are indeed, yes. So standard is 4. We could have gone 5. No, we've gone 6. 6 places each way on the Coral Cup this afternoon. Shall I look at the betting as well?
Yeah, and you need 6 places. Only one favourite in the last 10 years.
Indeed.
But let me give you this stat. Nicky Henderson, 4 of the last 11, including the last 2 years.
And I'll give you another one. Willie Mullins, just 1 in the last 10. He's had 36 runners as well. He saddles Kishari down here. He's a 17-2 chance. But Nicky Henderson, you mentioned that great stat. He's got Craig Niche, the 7-1 favourite. He's also got Monte Cristo on there, 11-1. He also saddles Janika and Birchdale as well. So he's got 4 in it. Grand Noir used to be trained by Nicky Anderson. Now with Denise Foster. Jack Kennedy had a double yesterday. That's at 15-2. Gorge Your Dreams, big fan of this one. Get to see his last run at Newbury. He is absolutely flying home. He's an 8-1 for the Twiston Davis team. Kishari mentioned Willie Mullins also has Blue Sari, 10-1, 11-1 Monte Cristo. But you're right, you do need 6 places, and it's the kind of race where you have a couple of darts and don't be afraid to stick one in at a big price.
Should we have a look at some visual clues? When I was going through this race last night, Grand Rue was the favourite. The second favourite, 15-2 for Sneezy Foster and Jack Kennedy. Of course, Jack Kennedy had a lovely double yesterday. And Tom, this is finishing 2nd at Nace at the end of Jan.
Yeah, he's had a good season. Changed hands for a lot of money, Grand Noir, but more productive this season. Winning at Galway, or rather winning at Limerick, I should say. Started off at Galway and then produced this most recently at Nace, where, all right, doesn't put a 1 next to his name, but this is a fair Cheltenham preparation because you wouldn't want him too high in the weights. First time in a handicap today. Jack Kennedy on board. 11 stone 6 is a big enough ask in a race of this nature. What I will say is that you might turn it round and say, well, hang on a minute, was that strong enough form? The horse in 3rd there has a right chance in the Stayers Hurdle tomorrow, Beacon Edge. So if that's going to go and win a Grade 1 or at least be competitive in a conditions race at the top level, that might actually turn out to have been a much better piece of form than people give it credit for. So Grenoir, certainly not dismissed, but I very much cling to what Matt just said. This is the type of race where I'm not getting too busy with horses in and around that sort of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1 mark. I want something at a big price with all those extra each-way places available. I'm trying to get something in the frame at maybe 14, 16, 20, 25, 33 to 1, and there's loads of contenders to go at.
I think Son of Flicker was my last winner of this. That was a few years ago. It's a tough contest, the Coral Cup. Any at a bigger price, Matt, you fancy?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know you're quite sweet and shake him up. Harry's an interesting one. He was...
Only because my lad's called Harry.
He's second... Well, I thought he was former study. Second in the Tolopine, Matthew. Admittedly, did let the form a little bit down yesterday in the Supreme. Palmer's Hill, interesting. Nick Schofield goes for that one. We'll hear from him a little later on. And Heaven Help Us right down there, 33 to 1 for Paul Hennessy. Won at the Dublin Racing Festival. And we've got another expert quite sweet on the chances of this one as well. So here's Tanya once more on why Heaven Help Us is worth a punt at 33 to 1, 6 places.
Now, I'm a huge greyhound racing fan, so Paul Hennessy, not only training greyhounds, but training horses, really appeals to me. And he's got that wonderful mare, Heaven Help Us, in the Coral Cup. Not normally a race for favourites, although the favourite won it last year. Heaven Help Us is a force to be reckoned with. A winner at Cheltenham already, 7th to none other than Shishkin in the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and then a big winner last time out, and a really competitive handicap at Leopardstown, taking the eye. And Paul was adamant and fingers tightly crossed that it was going to get in at Cheltenham. He really wants to have a go at getting a Cheltenham Festival winner. Heaven Help Us for me in what is a really open race.
Heaven Help Us, a big price, double carpet, 33 to 1 at the moment. But we keep saying 6 places each way, only one favourite in the last 10 years. Don't be afraid to back one at a bigger price. Well, we had an 80 to 1 winner yesterday, didn't we? Right then, Tom, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to give you two darts at the Coral Cup.
Right, I'll give you 2 who will both make it into the first 6. I'm going to have a mare, and that's number 17, Dysart Diamond, one of the Willie Mullins team. Why do you like her? 2 good runs at Leopardstown. If you see the way in which actually she was travelling beautifully the last day, got hampered, race over, but she's only 6-year-old, nice lightweight. I think she's got a much better chance than the prices imply. And the other one, and I love this fella, Sneaky Getaway for Emmett Mullins, who keeps bringing horses across. Recently, the Shunter, Cape Gentleman.
Shunter's going to be an interesting one tomorrow.
He's a lay. He had an awful hard race the last day, but I think Emmett Mullins might get a bit of luck here. Sneaky Getaway, 2 from 4 over hurdles, first time cheek pieces, low weight, up in trip, and on the flat, he's rated 94. He's a very capable horse, and he'll be any price you like. So numbers 17 and 18, Dysart Diamond, Sneaky Getaway, both of them to hit the front 6.
OK, I'm going to go for Shake 'em Up Harry each way, and also Birchdale each way.
That's got a chance.
Well.
Good shout. 8th last year.
Well, I just think Nicky Henderson's record in the race as well is very good. I know he's chucked a few at it.
He's
Janica at 33 to 1 for Nicky
Henderson. You've given 3. Come on, 2.
No, my 2 are Shake 'em Up Harry and Birchdale.
Birchdale, I think, might be a big threat today.
Big man.
Yeah, Birchdale's in there at 12 to 1, 2 for Tom, Sneaky Getaway 12s, and Dysart Diamond at 22. Thomas Darby's interesting enough, top weight for Ollie Murphy. But
Price-wise fancies Thomas Darby.
Who?
Price-wise.
There you go.
Pretty good in these kind of races.
First time cheek pieces.
But yeah, I mean, I like a couple towards the head of the market. Guard Your Dreams, I say, watch that Newbury race. He's absolutely flying. Looks like he's going to be tailed off turning for home. He bombs home to finish 6th in that. The extra yardage will help him, 17 to 2. And also Monte Cristo has been to Cheltenham before. It's a funny type, but boy, was he impressive at Kempton last time out. Beat Riggs, who ran really well at the weekend on that occasion as well. And Echo's come out and finished 2nd again since. So the form's stacking up, and he's trained by Nicky Henderson. So I think we've given plenty there. Surely we've got to get 1 in the frame between us.
There's no guarantees, is there? It's Cheltenham. It is tough. It's the Coral Cup. It is hard. That's why you need 6 places each way. Right then, it's time for you to get involved. Thanks for all the comments we've been getting. Matt, have we got any questions?
I have got one. Yes. Any worries on the ground for Bob Ollinger? He's raced only slow so far, Cheltenham like a carpet yesterday, and it will have dried out more too. I think that's something that we can level at a few maybe.
Well,
I
think going into this, Tom, a lot of people were saying, well, all these Irish horses have run on bottomless and they're not going to get that. Well, the Irish had a pretty good day yesterday. I believe it's 5-2 to the Irish, and I think the Irish are going to have a cracker today. So, any ground concerns for Bob Ollinger?
I think the problem is, Mark, that actually when you work through these, there is absolutely nothing to suggest that a horse like Bob Ollinger, who's by Sholokov, will it be actually that when he sees this drying ground, he doesn't find improvement for it. So it's not to say that just because we haven't got affirmation one way or another, it isn't to say that in fact there might actually be improvement to come on a drier surface. And in fact, just because the prevailing ground conditions through the winter have been prominent in terms of soft ground, heavy ground, testing ground, always a lot of rain around through the winter in Ireland in the few months we've just had. It doesn't mean to say that in the spring months, when the big festivals, the likes of Cheltenham, the likes of Aintree, the likes of Punchestown, Fairyhouse, when they arrive and suddenly we're racing on spring ground, some of these horses might surprise us and find even more, and that could be the decisive factor. So in fact, I wouldn't be rushing into thinking that it's necessarily a negative.
I've got a question here from Paul in Newcastle. He's asking about Appreciate It in the Arkle. Was it a good Arkle? Because it was particularly quick, wasn't it, compared to last year?
Appreciate It in the opener yesterday?
Sorry, in the Supreme, yeah.
Sure. What's Paul's question? Just run that one by me.
Was it a good Supreme? Because it was a slow one last year, wasn't it?
I see. In terms of the delivery, I tend to be actually guided by not just the time, but the visually impressive scene of how does a horse, what shape do they make over the hurdles, how do they quicken up the hill, and actually take out the rest. Don't worry about the gap back to the others, because you can only beat what's put in front of you. And Paul Townend didn't have rear view mirrors. He's concentrating on his own race, particularly without the crowd there to give any indication and without the big screen necessarily being the guide that the jockeys normally would use. I thought it was an excellent Supreme. It was visually an absolutely dazzling display. Massively impressed.
So we're going to see Appreciate It back next year at Cheltenham?
Looks that way, particularly given connections. They're not short on ambition.
Good stuff. Right, keep those questions or comments coming in. Right, let's talk about the feature. It's the Queen Mother Champion Chase. It goes off at 3 of 5. And we have got a Willie Mullins hot pot. But Willie Mullins has never won this race. He's 0 from 11. And he's had 2 odds-on favourites turn over in this race in the past as well, in Undershow and Douvan. But he's odds-on for this one, Matt.
He is, and he's never seen the undulations of Cheltenham as well. So of all the bankers this week...
Well, he has seen Cheltenham. He just didn't make it to the course.
Yeah,
he rocked up, didn't he, and then got pulled out on the actual day of race last year.
Yeah, so
he's seen Cheltenham, he's seen the stables, he knows what the Cotswolds look like.
He's never raced there.
No, but I presume he's seen the hill.
Right, so 12 months ago, Altio got pulled out the day before, a la like this year, then Shack and Persoir followed. Fingers crossed we don't get double deja vu this time around. But he sods on. Out of all the bankers this week, this is the one that bookies will be looking at and going, right, I think this is one we can get beat. Which one with? It's 10-1 Bar and Mittley, but we've got to put the Gettle on. 3 from 3 at Cheltenham. She's 10-1, gets the mare's allowance. It was certainly a ladies' day yesterday. Politlog's the reigning champion. He's in there at 10-1. Nube Negra lowered the colours of Altio at Kempton over Christmas. The Skeleton's quite bullish about him. He's 11-1. And then we've got First Flow at 14-1. And the stablemate of the favourite as well, Chilius Emery, 14-1 as well. But an odds-on favourite, Mark, but maybe one that those guys might fancy getting hold of.
It's 4 Grade 1 wins for Chacun Pour Soi, including this, Tom.
He's a bulldozer. I remember when he first burst onto the scene a couple of years ago, I actually ended up interviewing Rich Ritchie, his owner, those distinctive pink silks, on RTE television straight after the race, and he was very emotional. It was the day that Ruby Walsh retired. It's a key point that Matt makes. He hasn't yet met the unique challenge, which is Cheltenham Racecourse. We know very well what he can do.
And what about the ground as well?
We know very well what he can do against the best of the Irish. I wouldn't use the ground as predominantly an excuse, because he's a nice actioned horse who, again, going back to the previous point about the prevailing conditions through the winter in Ireland.
So we're taking 5 to 6 whether he's going to take to Cheltenham?
You're taking 5 to 6 about him being able to adapt his game to what will be a very different race. Bear in mind, in Ireland, even for a very free-going, prominently ridden horse like him, he has to make his own pace. They'll go harder and faster here, particularly with a front runner in there, which will really dictate the nature of this race in the shape of first flow. That's going to be a very big dynamic to this race. Will he be actually taken out of his comfort zone for once? I doubt it, because he travels so smoothly. Even so, this is going to be a different examination on a different track, on a different day, with that hill to get up. And they're going to be travelling from a very, very early phase of the race. You think they'll be going hard going down to the first over 2 miles here on the old course. Also bear in mind, trying to give weight away to the mare, Put the Kettle On. Arkle winners have an excellent record coming into this, and yet no mare has ever won the Queen Mother Champion Chase. The front runner First Flow, he's on a roll, the locally trained horse. There's loads of angles here, Mark.
Matt, stop yawning. You're live on television. What's Jamie Codd tip up?
Well, he respects the favourite, but I knew...
Just answer the question. What does Jamie Codd put up?
You want me to go make you a brew, don't you?
What does Jamie...
Put the kettle on.
Yes, please. Let's hear from Jamie Codd.
Altior is a massive loss. He's been a brilliant horse, and it's a shame that he won't be turning up. But look, we do have a quality field. We've Chacun Poursois, we've Politologue, who won it last year. You have First Low coming in off beating Politologue the last day in Ascot, and we have the Mayor down the bottom, Put the Kettle On. Won the Arca last year. Really looking forward to seeing how she gets on. She chased home Chacun Poursois. She was third to Chacun at Christmas, and I think her course experience is key here. And Henry's horses, maybe in the last week or 10 days, have really turned the corner, and they seem to be flying. So she's a mare that, if for some reason Chacun Poursois either doesn't turn up or doesn't take to the track or whatever, I really think Put the Kettle On is she's a hell of a mare, and she could suit this race.
Yeah, she is a hell of a mare. Arca winners have a good record in this race, and 3 from 3 at Cheltenham. And Henry de Bromhead has won this race twice before with Size in Europe, and Special Tiara. Remember, Special Tiara upset Douvan that day.
Well, Mark,
Douvan was odds on.
Listen, Mark, that's such an important point you've just made, because Chacun Poursois has to prove that he enjoys Cheltenham and isn't going to throw up when he sees the hill. Whereas this mare, she gets £7 from him. She might well need them, but even so, she doesn't know how to get beat at Cheltenham. 3 visits, 3 wins. You get a lot for your cash, it has to be said.
Let's go back to Matt. So, Matt, talk us through the betting, including for Put the Kettle On, please.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, she's in there 10-1 second favourite. This is how I'm going to play this race. As you mentioned, there's a couple of chinks in Chacun Poursois' armour. Not seen Cheltenham before. William Mullins not won the race. Ground, maybe. So you're going to get 2-1 back in, Put the Kettle On each way, and you've got 2 chances of a place with Chacun Poursois if he's going to win. So that's the way I'd much rather play. 5-6 Chacun Poursois, 10-1 Put the Kettle On and Politologue. And do you know what? I've just said William Mullins never won the race. Don't discount wherever it's gone. He's just off the page. 14-1, Chilius Emery. I think he ran the other day at Nace. He looked like he was coming to Cheltenham, and all of a sudden, he's popped up in here and gone under the radar. No one's talking about it. I'm wondering if he's been bucking and kicking at home and they've gone, right, let's take a chance. Brian Cooper on board. 14-1. I've got to play this race each way because I think the favourite I think he's too short. He may be vulnerable.
What about the champion, Matt?
Politologue, yeah, 10-1. Reigning champion back here. 10-1 for Paul Nicholls. Harry Skelton rode him last year. Harry Cobden is on board. Beaten at Ascot last time out, but we know he loves it here. Won the race 12 months ago. Let's hear from his trainer, Paul Nicholls, on the reigning champ.
Obviously, winning last year was a fantastic race for him and for everybody connected with the horse, really. Do you think this year is his 6th festival, which is amazing, really? And if you'd have seen him gallop this morning, he was very impressive. He comes good this time of year, and he's in there with a chance, obviously.
Paul Nicholls there, and this is winning last year. This is the champions. No one's talking about the champion, Tom.
Yeah, listen, he's running this race 3 times before, 4th, 2nd and 1st, albeit what did he beat last year? Because actually, the race was kind of decided before they even made the track. Defi Dusoy out the back ran absolutely stink. Heaven only knows what was wrong with him. He didn't fancy it. Altior wasn't there. Chacun Poursois wasn't there. It's all he could do to turn up and win and collect the prize. He's 10 years of age now, younger, fresher, newer, probably livelier legs. I'll be shocked, and I think it'll be not for Paul Nicholls and John Hales, but I think for the complexion of this race, if Politologue delivers today, there'll be a bit of head scratching. I would be very much against the idea of Politologue being this year's winner.
What about Nube Negra? Well, like this drying ground.
He liked this drying ground. It's very different from what he did at Christmas at Kempton, which obviously is the other way round, is a frying pan flat speed track, and yet trained by the Skeltons, off the back of one performance this season, nice gap between races, only a 7-year-old, still improving, razor sharp over his fences at Kempton Park the last day, definitely an each-way chance. Another one. You work through these profiles. Matt Silos-Emery's fourth in the champion hurdle last year, first flow unbeaten over fences off the back of a Grade 1 win. Put the kettle on the mare, 3 from 3 here.
Well, let's find out a bit more about First Flow. A happy-go-lucky place yesterday in the end. But let's hear from trainer of First Flow, it's Kim Bailey.
I'm proud of you now when you walk round your yard of a morning to see a brass plaque outside First Flow's box. Well, obviously very pleased. I mean, having a Grade 1 winner is for any trainer is the most important. That's why you do it. And you know, those are the accolades you get out of the sport. Some people have got a lot of plaques. I don't have that many. Yeah, I'm just thrilled for the owner, Tony Solomons, who's been probably the most loyal supporter I've ever come across. And to have him here as a horse is great.
Is he one of the quirkiest, most talented horses you've trained?
Well, he's certainly a bit of an oddball, and we've been like, we've had some good horses like the last Samurai, who was an oddball as well, and you have to try and work out the best way of dealing with them. It makes it more fun.
Can you see him winning?
Of course, I've got to say yes, because at the end of it, why you go there? Can we beat Willie Mullins? Watching the race the other day, I felt we needed probably a fence start, but you know, I mean, the English horses I like to think we're going to go very close with, but what they bring across from the water is going to be a different ball game.
Kim Bailey there. Tom, I suppose you pay your money, you take your chance, don't you? That's what Kim Bailey's doing.
Oh, listen, this isn't just a ticket in a lottery. This horse, he's playing it down a little bit there. He's only 6 miles away from Cheltenham. He's in a village called Andoversford. Unlike the Irish, what impact has it had on any of these horses to stick them on a ferry for 3.5 hours, come across to Holyhead, drive down to Cheltenham? It's a big difference in terms of their routine and their regimen. And some of these horses, for example, Chacun Pour Soi, make the point again, he's never seen Cheltenham. And all right, First Flow's never run at Cheltenham previously either, but he's in the form of his life. You see what he's achieved this season, progressing all the time. Ascot, Wetherby, back to Ascot for the Grade 1. He thrashed Politologue that day. I think he's got a right chance. 14 to 1 each way is value, but beware the ground. Big difference for him today.
Rupert Bowers asking the questions there. Let's go live to Cheltenham and get Rupert's thoughts on the feature race.
Well, the Queen Mother Champion Chase is the highlight on this second day of this strange but wonderful festival. Now, amazingly, despite the fact that he's trained 73 festival winners, Willie Mullins has never won the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Well, it looks like today could be the day that he should set that record straight with Chacun Pour Soi, who's dominated all before him in Ireland this year, coming over obviously with the team in great heart, and they look as if they're in unstoppable form. But you've got to just look and wonder if the British form might just be able to upset the apple cart. I've got a great soft spot for First Flow. Beat Politico fair and square and looks a pretty decent price. Nube Negra's got to be respected as well. Dan Skelton's runner. Chacun Pour Soi deservedly going off odds on favourite, but looking for an option, then I'm going to go each way First Flow, who looks to have the best of the British form.
And there's Rupert's thoughts live from Cheltenham. You hear him on TalkSport this afternoon. Right, selection time. Matt, get off your phone and do some work.
I'm looking for questions. People are tweeting. I can't do anything.
You know what you're putting your bets on. Well, right, your selection time.
Chilius Emery each way.
Put the kettle on each way. Tom.
Each way First Flow, the local horse.
Let's turn our attention to the cross country. We are 4 places each way on the cross country. And Matt, talk us through the betting for this unique race at the festival.
Well, we are 4 places each way as well for this 340, and that's a really big offer because we've got an odds-on favourite in Easy's Land who's at 5 to 6. Then you've got Tiger Roll looking for a 5th Festival success. He won a Triumph Hurdle, a National Hunt Chase, and this one twice as well. Sumneck is at 10-1. The Broy, also a festival winner, at 14-1. I must say Sumneck won over Track and Trip in December. Balco de Flo, a former festival winner, is at 14-1 as well. A real high-class renewal. And let's have a look at what happened 12 months ago, Mark.
Yeah, well, it ended up a 2-horse race, and then Easyland, well, made it easy. Won by 17 lengths in the end, Tom. This was one impressive performance, and not only won by 17 lengths, but well clear of the rest of these two. Look at that. The other lot are nearly in Birmingham, while these two are finishing in Gloucestershire.
Well, in fact, if you want to apply that kind of logic to this year's race, you see that he and Tiger Roll, rated 167 and 166 in what's now a conditions race, ought to be miles ahead of them again this year. And yet, as punters, we have to deal with the here and now. It's all very well saying what he did a year ago, but listen, you could have been a millionaire a year ago. You could be skint today, and you might be if you go following those form lines, because since then, we've only seen him once, Easyland, and he was a disappointing 4th in November. Drying ground is against him, and suddenly the winds blow different, and they blow change. Tiger Roll, what a horse he's been. Twice successful in this race, a Grand National legend, and yet he's 11 years of age, and based upon what we've seen this season, he doesn't go to Aintree trying to win another national. He went to Navan and ran stink the last day in the Boyne Hurdle at 11 years of age.
But I suppose you're hoping 11-2, 4 festival wins, 2 cross-country wins, that he sees these horrible cross-country fences and wakes up.
Ifs, buts and maybes. Hoping doesn't pay the bills. I want actually a little bit of encouragement. I want something in the pipe that I can smoke that's going to make me a profit.
Some people have glossed over that run at Navan. I mean, he ran out of juice, didn't he? Quite dramatically.
Glossing over does not pay the bills. Pulled up in 6th in the two recent examples we've seen him. Tiger Roll's a legend. Do not, under any circumstances, underrate or dismiss anything he's achieved. But what he achieved 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago isn't relevant to what he might do today. We need to know that he's fit and firing and ready to go on a marathon journey, 3 3/4 miles round these unique fences. And nothing that he's served up recently fills you with confidence in a race where Easyland, well, you have to say that was disappointing, the once we've seen him this season. Drying ground is against him. So a little bit like the strategy Matt's employing for the race we've just talked about, wouldn't you rather get in bed with one of these that have got course and distance form and are available at huge prices to try and get him in the frame? Think back to that November race. Kingswell Theatre won that, and yet 3 times he's run in this race, he's run terrible every time, and he's even older than Tiger Roll.
I suppose off-level weights makes a difference, doesn't it?
Ain't that the truth? Working through. Here's an angle for you. Here's a little story. Richard Johnson, once of this parish, friend of Betfred TV. He's been in the studio loads of times, 4 times champion jockey.
Still a friend of Betfred TV,
He is. And do you know what? After April, there's just more than a glimmer of a chance that he might have a bit more time to come and see you, because he hasn't told me anything, but I just get the suspicion that he's not a machine. Even he can't go on forever. Could this be Richard Johnson's last ever Cheltenham Festival? I think it's his 20th.
I think it's probably this year or next year, isn't it?
Ain't that the truth?
I think he knows that. I mean,
but you know as well as I do.
It's a tough game being a jockey. Very tough.
That man's an elite competitor. He's a family man. He's a decorated man. He's a multiple champion. But he'd like to go out on a winner. And is this horse, number 12 on the race card, you might not even have looked at him, trained in Meath by John McConnell, who's a very, very capable trainer, Some Neck. Used to be with Willie Mullins. He's been here and delivered this season over these fences.
Matt, I know you're keen on Some Neck at 10-1 as well. Now, your mate Nick Schofield was supposed to have Potter's Corner, unfortunately non-runner.
Yeah, I called him yesterday. Obviously, sadly, that one was pulled out. Lame Potter's Corner. Would have had a really good chance as well. But he still had an opinion on the race. And of all the ones I've just mentioned, he too thought that there's a former festival winner in here who could go well at a price.
Look at it closely, and you've obviously Easyland's an obvious, first one to go for. And on his last year's performance, you'd be hard to go against him. And but he's not much of a price, so you'd be looking down the field. I just thought Balkan to Flow, he's a very, very high-rated horse, and on his day can be a good horse. And if he just takes to the fences, he could just run better than his odds suggest. And they've been schooling him around there, so he should have some idea. It is a worry when they haven't been around there, but I thought just a bigger price to take on, obviously, Tiger Roll and Easyland.
Nick Schofield throughout the week as well. Tom, I'm going to go a big price each way in this. Vivas for Charlie Longston. I think it's about 80 to 1. Each way, I'm going... We're 4 places, aren't we? 4 places each way, I'm going Vivas 80 to 1.
Vivas has got more P's next to his name than a multi-storey car park. You're crazy.
Today's the day, Tom, for Vivas to get in the place. Look, I just think, again, I might be stupid here. I just think Easyland, I think the ground's going against, and I think that performance last time was disappointing. And with you with Tiger Roll, I'd love to see Tiger Roll win, but you've got to look at that performance at Navan, so I'm just looking for something to get in a place at a big price, and that is Charlie Longston's Vivas, which finished, I think, 5th in November. So hopefully it'll go better and finish 4th, and I'll get the Beachwear dough.
A shout to Keith and the lads in the fire station in Galway who are watching right now via betfred.com. Happy St Patrick's Day, lads.
Yep.
Irish winner, Sumneck, John McConnell, and the legend that is Richard Johnson. Could this, because of course we've got No Time Hill tomorrow now, could this be a farewell winner for Richard Johnson? Sumneck, number 12.
Big man, your selection, and then can you do some comments and questions, please?
I have, right. I'm going to one named after you, Mark. Sumneck for Dickie Johnson. That'll do for me at 10 to 1. Right, just talk quickly. Whilst talking about the cross country, I've got a question actually about Tiger Roll. If he does underperform here again this afternoon, do you think he'll be retired, Tom?
So hard to say, because the comments coming out of Jigginstown and the stable recently, when they were asked that exact question, were no, plenty of lead in the pencil, expect to see him next year. If he runs poorly and underperforms, me personally, what else can he achieve? What's he got left to prove? So yes, I think this might be curtains for the Tiger if today is a disappointment. Love to see him next year, but most importantly, if he goes out and has a great fit and healthy retirement, wouldn't that be the best?
And someone's put about, so is it Steve-O for the Cops, so I assume it's a Liverpool fan. First flow pulled up in a Supreme. Do you see that as a negative? He's only tried the course.
Do I see that as a negative? Not necessarily. He's a dramatically different animal since then. Fences have been the making of him, albeit on different tracks, so he might have a fair point there. And if he is a Liverpool fan, let me just say, I recently interviewed Ian Rush. His nap of the meeting, not just of day 2, his nap of the meeting was Bob O'Linger. So if he wants Rush's tip, that's in the opener.
Sound like the social corner, Matt?
Just somebody go back to the cross country. How do jockeys know where to go on the cross country course? Well, there's a little bit of a grey area that Davy Russell a few years ago discovered, didn't he, Tom?
Do you know what? That's actually not the first time it's happened. I remember working for Channel 4 there in maybe about 2004 at the November meeting, and the same thing happened famously, and there was a right uproar over it. It's up to the jockeys. I remember Barry Geraghty taking the wrong course at Wetherby on Charlie Hall Day about 12 years ago. It's up to the jockeys, A, to understand the markers, and B, to have gone out and mapped it out and walked it out, because if they're making it, it's a very unforgiving place. It's not a job I would fancy. It's really quite daunting. Yeah. And one little momentary hesitation and lack of concentration, and they're in all manner of trouble.
Cheers, gents. Right, we've got about 4 minutes to talk about 2 races. I actually like the cross country. I know it's got its detractors. I actually like it. Let's talk the Grand Annual, where we have 5 places each way. Of course, it's moved to the Wednesday as a Grand Annual. How do we bet for the Grand Annual, Matt?
Here we are then. So, Embittered, Joseph O'Brien's got a really good handle in this race. Embittered has been all the talk on the previous circuit as well. 9 to 2 for him, been running in top grade contest. He's also got 2 Cassets, 7 to 1. Zanz has been a big anti-post gamble at 15 to 2. Last year's winner, Chosen Mate, is at 8 to 1. Iblio has been backed at 9 to 1, and my fancy here, Us and Them, 3rd last year, pound lower here, again for Joseph O'Brien, 14 to 1. Us and Them, I think, huge each way.
Chosen Mate, Tom, last year was a massive gamble, 7 to 2 favourite, currently 8 to 1, gone up £9, but it's got this Jordan Gainford on board, a £7 claimer. Now, I don't know much about him, but I've seen this £7 claimer has had 33 rides in March. Now, that seems a lot for a £7 claimer. Are they making sure this lad is fit to go and do it again on Chosen Mate?
Don't worry about Jordan Gainford. He's a good driver. and he's getting the right experience from the right people in competitive races. So, despite the fact that his lack of experience
he's going to be on the shunter tomorrow,
is offset by the £7 claim, they've all got to start somewhere. And how do you build either experience or loyalty? Through getting opportunities. So all these people, I remember in 2008, the Galway races, people were saying, who's this Townend? He's very good, he's going to go well. Isn't he #1 jockey to Willie Mullins, no less, and booting in Cheltenham Festival winners routinely? So they all got to start somewhere. He looks like a future star. Don't worry about him.
Look, we're going to have to talk about the Grand Annual in detail later on in our midday show, but quickly, your selection, Tom.
It's speculative, but he's had a wind operation. Note number 9, Glenn Forcer, who only a couple of years ago went off 9-2 for the Arkle. I don't think it's such a surprise if he popped up here at a real nice price each way. Number 9, Glenn Forcer.
Matt?
Us and them, 14-1 last year's third to turn the tables on Chosen Mate.
I thought On the Slopes might run well for Chris Gordon as well, and not that fuse there for the Skeltons. The ground is coming up absolutely perfect for that. Right, let's go to one of my favourite races of the whole week. It is the Bumper. Been absolutely dominated by Ireland over the years and dominated by Willie Mullins. 10 wins for Willie Mullins. He's got the two at the front of the markets as well in Kilcroot and Sir Gerard. Sir Gerard cost, what was it, about £400,000 as well. Surely the Bumper's going to Ireland, isn't it, Tom?
There's no surely about it. Again, same comments apply to Chacun Pour Soi as they do to the Bumper. We've got to be absolutely certain that these young horses, with not very much experience, are able to handle the unique undulations and qualities required to win at Cheltenham. That said, Paul Townend will have had a choice from some very sharp-looking horses from the Mullins squad. He chooses, totally understandably, the stowaway gelding Kilcroot.
Is that your selection?
Who's 2 from 2 this season. Cool. Navan Leopardstown, great chance.
I'm actually going to go for one at a big price here. It was the first song I heard on the radio this morning. I'm going to go for Wonderwall, OK? Because maybe you're going to be the one that saves me, Matt.
Have to let you fall. I'm with Sir Gerhard, 2-1. But you mentioned when he was at the top 2. He hasn't. He's got the first 4 of the first 6 in the market. He's going back to Ireland. He's won it 10 times. I think Sir Gerhard gives him 11th.
It's a fascinating Bumper, and that is off at £4.50. And we have 4 places each way on that. Right, what is the nap today then? Matt, what is your best bet today?
My best bet today would be I'm going to go Guard Your Dreams in the county here, in the Coral Cup.
Tom?
Controversial. I'm also going to go in the Coral Cup. Each way, 6 places with Betfred. Number 18 for that man, Emmett Mullins. Sneaky getaway.
I'm also going to go in the Coral Cup each way. I'm going to go Shake 'em Up Harry in the 2:30 the Coral Cup. Right, whatever you're back, have a brilliant day. Fred is back at midday today. He did some cracking offers yesterday, didn't he? Honeysuckle at 6-4 and the double of Appreciator and Shishkin. He went 2-1. He'll be doing more offers like that. Just got a feeling he might do something with Monkfish and Chacun Pour Soi. I'm only guessing. Right. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day and please gamble responsibly and be lucky.
The calm before the roar.
Who are the punters backing?
The greatest show on turf. It's the one we've all been waiting for.
World-class racing.
4 days like no other.
Sign up to Betfred this Cheltenham using promo code CHELT40 and get up to £40 in free bets when you stake £10. Betfred, at the heart of Cheltenham. Download our app or visit betfred.com.